Hey you, it's Jess here and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing my reading journal setup for March, and I'm going to be using these Scribble Prints Co reading journal stickers. They were released last year. I already have the March label, so I didn't use them last year, so I thought I'd use them this month. And it is using the fantasy fan artwork. This was my set for fantasy book lovers. So if you love fantasy books, you can definitely, I'm sure it's still in shop at Scribble Prints Co. Otherwise, there's a lot of other fantasy art stickers on there as well. And I thought this would be the perfect time to use it this year because I am also taking part in Realmathon 5.0. This is a readathon by Covers with Cassidy. I will link the information and her channel in the description below. But every year, well, this is the 5th year that she's run this readathon. It's a team-based points competitive readathon. And there's 4 teams which are hosted by other different booktubers. And we all just read and make points to see which team wins, and based on the themes and the prompts. So we're going to be working all of that out. In this video, I want to set up all of the prompts and sort of have a beginning TBR, and then set up my pages for when I actually put my books in. And what I like to do is, I did the readathon last year, and last year I put all my book covers in, and I also wrote down all the prompts that I used and what points. Of course, in the actual readathon, she has a whole Google form, so I don't have to actually work that stuff out. But it's just nice to have it in my journal, you know? So that's what we're going to be setting up. I'll probably show you in a minute here what last year's looked like, because I needed to actually reference it to figure out what I was doing. But yeah, so last year, the theme, so there's different themes for this readathon. Last year we were crime syndicates who were fighting against each other, and I was in the Monarchs and we lost. We came last, which is too bad. I read so much that month, but it's fine. A team has to lose, you know, and I believe the Stingers won last year. But this year our theme is that we are in the Crucible, so our realms have been destroyed, and now we have to fight one another in the Crucible. So what the theme does is it kind of creates the teams that we're on, as well as the themes for some of the prompts. And so in the Crime Syndicate one, there was like a big main prompt, which was you get 10 points if your book was an urban fantasy. And so this one, we get 10 points if our book has a competition or trial in it. Which of course a lot of fantasy books have that. So it's kind of more of a fantasy theme this time. We are playing like different D&D roles in the teams. And I chose Team Clerics. And because I liked the prompts the most, plus I actually watched the hosts for it. So our team leads are Tori between pages and Good Morning Dreamer, and I will also link those in the description below, so you can check them out. I've been loving Tori's channel for a couple of years now. So we have the main prompt, which is the competition trials, but we also get 10 points for our team prompts. And the clerics, we have 2. We have a guilty pleasure, a book that provides comfort to you, and we also have read a story centered around good versus evil. And I thought I could probably do this one. In terms of like what I'm choosing to read for March, I'm mostly going to be like prompt shopping. I'm not going to like specifically try too hard to match all the prompts, but the guilty pleasure I think is going to be, or comfort read, is really going to be a lot of my prompts this month. I'm choosing to reread Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. I'm also rereading for the first time a childhood favorite, which is the 4th book in the Lioness, Song of the Lioness Quartet by Tamara Pierce. Those are definitely comfort reads, and I think they're both also good versus evil. I think Yumi and the Nightmare Painter is a bit more complex than that, but I think those will be good matches. So yeah, a lot of comfort reads, I think, for this month. Some of the other teams, there's the Majors, which is on Monica's shelves and Jency Reads, and they're doing a book with a school or academic setting or a book with foiling on the cover. There's also the Paladins, which is Mel Lenore Reads and Daisha's Book World, and they have a character overcomes fights injustice and an author you've read from before. And then there's the Rogues, which is books with Lexi and Sorry Booked Solid. And they have a book with a mystery element and also steal a book from someone's March TBR that is not on your team. So if you're a rogue watching this right now, if you found this video, yeah, I will list a bit more of my TBR in a second, and you can steal from that if you want. But the first two is a Tamara Pierce book. I'm doing the fourth book, but you could read Alana's First Adventure if you want. That's the first book in the quadrilogy. And also Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. I'm also reading the second book in, I don't know what the series is called. It's by Hannah Kana and it's called Sunbringer. And the first book is called Godkiller. So you could also read those books if you want to steal those rogues. So I'm just showing you my spread from last year, where I set up all the prompts. You also get bonus points for the number of pages that you read, just to make it a bit more fair in terms of pages. And then we also get 15 positive points and 15 negative points. So positive means you add those points to your team total, and negative points means you can steal points from another team that you choose. I mostly do positive. I think last year I did like 2 stealing points, but usually I just like to focus on gaining points for our team. And they are very and you can choose 5 prompts per book. So that's kind of the thing there. And then on top you have your bonus team points and stuff. But you have things like a book you didn't buy, so something you were gifted, or maybe it was on KU. You have fast-paced read, and they also added, they're described as something to do with the theme. So the book you didn't buy is open a loot box, and then successfully parrying an attack is a fast-paced read. And then the big ones, you have make an ally, own voices for 5 points, an author from a marginalized group in writing from their own lived experience. Now I've already read this one. I think, did I read it last month or January? But this is a book you could steal for own voices. It's Metal from Heaven. What was the author's name? 1 second. Okay, I just went and actually got my journal. That's Metal from Heaven by August Clark. And August Clark is, I guess they describe themselves as a butch lesbian. And the character in Metal from Heaven, the main character, is also a butch lesbian. But it's sort of a steampunk fantasy world with a touch of sci-fi in it. So if you're interested in that, you could also steal that. I'm just putting some ideas out there. Because I just thought when I saw that one, I was like, oh, that'd be perfect. And then befriend an NPC, author's name is 2 lines on the cover, which Yumi the Nightmare Painter does on actually both of the book covers that I have because I have 2 of those. And then the negatives, where you sabotage another team's XP, there's set a trap, which is read a pretty book, whatever that means to you. You have random encounter, a book outside of your comfort zone that takes 2 points. Critical hit, read a book in 1 sitting. You've got magic missile, roll a d6 for how many words are in the title. So there's a couple of ones where you can roll a die, which is really fun. We have farm XP in the positive points, which is randomize your TBR with a die, which I was thinking of doing that at some point. Because I did make a little TBR list. I need to add a few more books to it. I'm working on my reading through the Murderbot Diaries. I'm actually up to the last book before the new one, which is System Collapse by Martha Wells. I'm also wanting to read the next, what is it? The series is called The Tyrant Philosophers by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And I'm going to read the second book, which is The House of Open Wounds. But I highly recommend the first book, The City of Last Chances. It's just so good. I'm actually thinking like there's quite a lot you could probably do with that book. Although it doesn't have like... I think my problem is none of my books currently on my TBR would have the main... Oh my gosh, sorry again for another pause, but I had to let Heidi into the bathroom. I have the dryer going, so I apologize if there's any sound in the background. But no, the main problem is a lot of my books, they don't have trials or competitions or contests because I've already kind of read those a lot. In fact, the last Readathon, I read The Will of the Many by James Islington, or Islington. And that has a competition trial in it. So I would recommend that book too if you're doing this. If you haven't read it, that'd be perfect for this one. But of course I read it last March, so I don't think the second book, The Strength of the Few, has a trial in it anymore. And The Will of Many also has a sort of school setting too. So if you're in that team, that's a good bonus. On my TBR, I also have the second book for the... where is it? The Empire of the Wolf trilogy. It's called The Tyranny of Faith. And the first book is The Justice of Kings. I was not expecting that first book. I thought it was, I don't know, with the book covers for that trilogy, I was not expecting the main character to be a woman and to have really cool German-based fantasy world with interesting magic. It felt very like when Protestantism was rising against Catholicism, like you kind of had both transitioning, or even pagan religion versus new Christian religion. That's kind of the vibes. I was not expecting that in The Justice of Kings. So I'm definitely looking forward to continuing on with that. But a lot of my TBR, I'm kind of just continuing on with series rather than picking out like fresh new books for these prompts. But I'm not sure what else I'm going to get to read. I also feel like a lot of my TBR right now is also more sci-fi aimed, but I guess, oh, my cat is meowing at me. She always has to pick this time. Here I'm just, let's get back to my layout. I've just been putting the stickers down, and I've been using these Tombow markers just to do every second line highlight, so it's easier to read the list. Of course, the list is up on a Google Doc, and it will be on a Google form, so I don't really need all this in the journal. It's just nice to document it, to probably have a record of the readathon for my journal. So this is going to be a section for the negative prompts, and then underneath I'm going to have my sort of list TBR where I kind of put in ideas, and then I'm going to decorate the next page and the next spread to be room for my actual books that I read. I found that I needed the 3 single pages in the last readathon, or even close to 4 pages. So I'm leaving those open to see how much I can fit in. But it's been really nice. I've been able to really extend out these reading journal sheets across the pages. And I still have quite a lot left, which is nice. I was able to really decorate, well, I guess 3 spreads with these stickers, and I don't even have the whole reading journal collection in this set. So yeah, I'm not sure what else I'm going to read. I also have on my list, I have the 3rd and final book in the John Gwynne Bloodsworn saga, which is The Fury of the Gods. And that's more of a Viking fantasy. Again, doesn't really go with the competition trial, but I feel like in the terms of the books that I own right now, I just don't have any more of those. I kind of read all of them already, so I won't really, but I guess last year during the Realmathon Readathon, I didn't really read any urban fantasies either, so it's not like I've been sticking that much to the theme. Again, apologies for Heidi if you can hear her. She's being grumpy all of a sudden. Of course, right as I start a voiceover. It's like I finally get some peace and quiet and to do this, and Heidi's like, it's time to meow and scratch doors. But I'm looking forward to it. There's also, in the middle of the Readathon, there's a Gala of Peace where we all come together and like our characters come together kind of thing. And it's a 48-hour readathon where we get 10 bonus points for every book that you read in that 48 hours. So that's really the time to be reading all of the short books. And this will be from March 13th to March 15th, 7 p.m. EDT. And I think you have to keep in the same time zone, which I'm not sure what that is in my time zone, but I will see what I can read during that time. Probably will read my Martha Wells Motorbot Diaries during then, because it is a shorter book. Oh, now she's scratching on a door. Alright, I just let her outside, so she stopped scratching on the door. I guess for this little time left to talk, I'll just have a couple of minutes before we finish up the spreads. I'm going to talk quickly about what I read in Feb. I just finished The Terraformers by Annalee Newitz, and I gave it 3 stars. It was a really interesting sci-fi, kind of like, it's super kind of wacky, but it's about, it's like a future world where people are now terraforming new planets, and like companies are terraforming planets and then selling them off to private companies to make their own cities. And the book is sort of showing the people between 3 different times of terraforming this planet, and then where it's still kind of getting terraformed, and then there's sort of government upheaval, and then there's the private cities and upheaval, and it's a very interesting sci-fi. Lots of different ambitious ideas in there. So if you're into more of the environmental future, humanity is kind of, you can be uploaded into any body kind of thing, and looking at terraforming, it's an interesting book. Then I also read the 6th book in the Motorbot Diaries, Fugitive Telemetry by Martha Wells, and I gave that 5 stars. I loved it. I love Motorbot. I am waiting for the next Motorbot TV show season to happen because I love it. I also read the 2nd book in the Skyward series, Brandon Sanderson, which is Starsight. It's a YA sci-fi book collection about Sansa, who wants to be a pilot, and humanity is sort of, they no longer have Earth, and these humans are left kind of stranded on this planet, and they're kind of like being controlled and hemmed in by this alien race that kind of attacks them every now and then. So I read the 2nd book and I did enjoy it. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as the first, but also not as much as his other work. It doesn't feel as like, if you've read Mistborn, which is almost YA but not quite, this is way more YA than that, and it doesn't have as quite a crazy drama for me as Mistborn does, but still enjoyable. And then I also finally finished An Echo of Things to Come by James Islington, which is the 2nd book in the Lycanius trilogy. If you're into like Wheel of Time and Stormlight Archive, this is a really big, more traditional feeling. Well, way more traditional than Stormlight. This is way more like Wheel of Time for me. There's a lot of timey-wimey stuff, past lives, time travel. It got a bit confusing, but it was still enjoyable. But those are the main books that I've finished since we last talked about reading. And we're about to finish up. I've just left a book cover here so you can see where I'm gonna put them through those ones and then put in the prompts as I do them. But that is the finished product of my March Realmathon spread. I think there's definitely still time to join. It's only the 2nd of March and it goes for the whole month, so definitely check out Covers with Cassidy if you're interested. Again, I'll link that down in the description box. But otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful March reading month. Let me know what you're reading this month, or any readathons that you're doing this year. I would love to know. This is my first one. so far this year, so I'm excited. Just again looking at my last year and how I'm going to set up those pages to mark out the prompts. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. If you're in the Readathon, good luck. If you're in the clerics, we can do this. Let's get our reading on. But if you're in the other team, how dare you? Don't take points away from the clerics, please. But anyway, I love you. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day. And I'll see you next time. Bye. I love you. Bye. I didn't know what I was doing here. Okay, bye.